Panther people know the Carolina Panthers got some dogs on the offensive line, but how good were they actually? I'll give you my grades. What's going on? You're watching Panthers Post. Thanks for joining. If you're new here, what's going on? It's the offseason. Championships are built in the offseason, and the Panthers, they did some serious building during the offseason last year. Dan Morgan, first-time general manager, he invested heavily into the interior offensive line with Damien Lewis from the Seattle Seahawks, where he has some connections there, and Robert Hunt from the Miami Dolphins, who could be, a little bit of a spoiler here, the best acquisition this Panthers team has made in the last couple of years in terms of long-term future. So in this episode, I'm going to be giving my grade for the offensive line as a whole, and then I'm going to give individual grades to the starters, some of the reserve guys as well. There are some dudes who are liberos, or they were in and out of the lineup because due to injuries. And then every week, I'm going to be focusing on a specific positional group, giving them my grade, and then going individualistic. And then later on, as we head towards the draft, I'll talk about how we can improve each of those positional groups. So without further ado, let's talk about the offensive line. Why am I talking about the offensive line? Because it was the most improved part of this team. And it was voluntary. Like, it was on purpose. This was not a fluke. It's not like a light switch on, which it did with Bryce, that, you know, oh, this is how you play football. This was manicured. This was made by Dan Morgan and company. They plucked guys from other rosters and plopped them into the Panthers. And then here you go. You had this result. Because you could talk about the Frank Reich year, couple months, Bryce Young's rookie year. One of the issues that he faced was the offensive line was just so bad. He couldn't buy time. We couldn't buy time with the run. Nothing. Couldn't get anything done. The guts, the spine was broken with this team. And so they went out there. They got Damien Lewis from the Seattle Seahawks. They got Robert Hunt from the Miami Dolphins. And lo and behold, a good interior offensive line, anchored by those two guys, hopefully for the next 10 years or so, really saw an improvement. So as a whole, for this offensive line, I would give it a very high B+. So if we're talking percentage, I'm saying 79%. If it was, I'm not giving it an A just yet, because statistically, the offensive line was kind of middle of the pack with the rest of the National Football League, because, there were still problems with sacks. We did bully, and the yards after rushes in terms of Chuba Hubbard obviously had a career year, a Pro Bowl year. It was there. That ranked ahead. Like, there's definitely some strength with this offensive line. Not that it's a one-trick pony, but at the moment, and I think a lot of these stats are skewed because of the quarterback carousel that the Carolina Panthers went through this year, but it built to the point where they statistically had their best game ever in the last game of the season against the Atlanta Shitkins, and I think that is a building block that would tempt me to give them an A- heading into next year. I think next year it is completely reasonable to think that this could be an A- squad, but right now, because kind of the issues early with Bryce Young playing the way he did, because it wasn't just him, it was everybody. And then Andy Dalton, he had his moments, and then it kind of fell apart again. And then just like Bryce Young, it kind of went with Bryce Young. As Bryce Young's play exponentially got better, so did the offensive line. It was a chicken and egg thing. So not giving an A just yet, because if you're getting an A in your first year, what are you going to do next year? You're trying to, you might potentially coast, right? So you get a B+, you get a 79, you get pissed off. You're like, I'm going to work even harder. I'm going to add more to this team. I'm going to lift more to this team. I'm going to work on the pass pro. And then next year, hopefully Bryce Young has a couple more weapons that he can throw to make the offensive line look even better. Because that's kind of how you deal with the offensive line, right? What happens to the quarterback? Does the quarterback get sacked a lot? Are they completing passes? Do they have all day to throw a ball? Then maybe we can get into, the 80, 90 percentage, A-, A+. Can you tell my mom's Asian? I'm being hard. I'm being hard here on this team. But compared to what you would have given this unit grade last year, which is a big old F, a capital F, multiple Fs, I think a B+ is pretty darn good. That is growth. That is growth on this team. And again, shout out to Dan Morgan, Brent Tillis, to scout these guys out, their pro scouting department, bringing on Robert Hunt, who's not only a great addition on the field, but off the field as well. Sound bites, interviews, representing the Panthers in the Pro Bowl, being a leader out there. Even with some of the best offensive linemen in the league, he stood out there as a personality, as a leader. He is one guy I would actually buy his jersey. Number 50 is awesome. Last name Hunt is great. He's a guy that I think is a big addition there on this team. And Damien Lewis, kind of that quiet leader as well. He tweets a lot, tweets a fair amount. He's even predicted on Twitter Panthers in Super Bowl next year in San Francisco. So I love the confidence that these two guys bring. They brought these guys up. They brought the average up to a B plus. Not saying everyone else was shit, but they brought everybody else up. So let's talk about individuals on this team, even though it's a team game. We'll start with the easy ones. Austin Corbett. Best ability is availability, durability. He has not been durable. Super crappy that he had a soft tissue injury. I think he tore his bicep or his tricep, one of those things, and he's out. And I also think he might potentially be out of the team in general to try to make ways for someone we're going to talk about a little bit later. So with that, I'm not going to give an F because he didn't fail. You don't fail by being injured. So I'm going to say DNP, just did not participate, or just NA, not applicable right now. Maybe go back to summer school, rehab, something like that, work on it, come back. If he is given a chance maybe with the Panthers to redeem himself and, play a full season at center, because I thought he started okay in the first couple of games until he hurt himself. I think he could still be an asset. He could be a depth guy. Maybe he might be replaced by the likes of a Cade Mays or Brady Christensen, or maybe a rookie or another free agent pickup potentially this offseason. But I'm not going to fail him because you're not a failure because you got injured. You didn't play like crap. You literally just were not available. So Austin Corbett, DNP, NA, no hard feelings. But Robert Zavala, who was in his second year last year, he was thrust into a situation like everybody was, and he was just not set up to succeed. And he had an injury plague season last year as well in his rookie year, and you would think, kind of like with Bryce, that would kind of shake you a little bit, and it didn't. He came out there and he wasn't a starter, which is, I think, the right move. But he came in relief at times due to the injuries that the Panthers were dealing with. So I'd give him a C plus. The fact that he didn't give up and he didn't lose any games for us. And I think as a contributor, as a depth piece, I think he's playing to his level. Let's talk about Brady Christensen. And, he was brought in through the rule era, and I think he's been a consistent contributor. Yeah, he is a guy who could maybe not be with the Panthers next year. I hope that the likes of he and Cade Mays could return because, again, rotational depth pieces. I could also think that he can get in there at left tackle or right. You can kind of put him anywhere. If anyone does go down injured, and I think he's a formidable starter, I would give him a B minus for everything that he has done thus far for this team. Again, solid, dependable. He seems like a great locker room guy, and again, hasn't lost games for us. Great depth piece. I hope they can keep him. I don't know if they can keep him as well as Cade Mays, who I'm going to get to right after this. But I would give Brady Christensen a solid B minus for everything that he has done for this team thus far. Cade Mays. I think he's going to be the one that the Panthers are going to replace Austin Corbett with. I think he came out super duper clutch in relief for Austin Corbett at the center position, and arguably that is the most important position on the offensive line. The communication with Bryce, literally the handoff from one dude to the other to just start the plays, and again being put into a position where you weren't expected to be the starter. Guy goes down early, and you go there and you perform. I'd give Cade Mays a B plus, like a high B plus, kind of like this unit, like a 78, 79%. I think they keep him on the team. I think he could challenge to be a starter depending on who they pick up in the offseason, free agent wise, who they pick up in the draft. Whoever they get in the draft, I think is going to be a depth piece because I think in the draft they're going to focus on building that defense, building the offensive skill position players, and then again, everything else on the offensive line, at least when I've been doing mock drafts, it's been for depth. So, Cade Mays, you've really come up. Like his rise on this team has been a steep curve since he's joined from the University of Tennessee. So Cade Mays, B plus. Let's talk about Taylor Moton, the Admiral. I just gave him that nickname. He just looks like a guy who could be in the Navy. He had his, I think it was a career high in starts. I forget how many it was, but it was a lot. And he is a stalwart on the right side. We never have to worry about him. He did have a couple of injuries. Again, talking about the depth on this team. I'll give him a B plus because he's just solid. He is solid, not elite, but he's solid, and he'll be even more elite, more of an asset to this team when they restructure his contract again to increase the cap space to really start making some moves in the offseason to help maybe the other side of the trenches on the defensive side. But Taylor Moton, leader on this team. Never really a doubt that you think he's not going to show up on Sunday. And I'd give him a solid B+. Hey, you like Panthers Post? I love Panthers Post. If you really love Panthers Post and you love early access to videos like this one here, exclusive videos, live chats with experts, and then just hanging out with me, then you should become a Panthers poster. You should become a Processed Blue member. It costs less than a cup of coffee. It is $2.99 Canadian, which is like $1 American. Our dollar sucks. With the membership that you pay every month, less than a cup of coffee a month. That's like less than 5 cents a day. You get early access to videos like this one here. You're watching it on Thursday instead of Friday. If you're watching this now on a Friday, then you're not a member. If you're watching it on Thursday, you are a member. Reminder. You get personalized, as in just to members only, YouTube shorts, where I kind of give you guys announcements, kind of give you my takes on stuff, live chats, exclusive videos. Now, we had an exclusive video with Doug from What's Up, Doug. It was up there just for members for about 5 days, then it went public. We had a chat with Vashti from Keep Blitzin', absolute best, Carolina Blitz, and she was available for fans for quite some time, and then went out there for the public. We're going to get some more chats. I'm setting something up right now with a former NFL scout. He's getting things ready on his end. Hopefully sometime in the next month, we'll get him on, and we're going to talk about how to make this team better. So join the membership. Less than a cup of coffee. Helps me, helps you. It'll be the best. Come to the party. Let's talk about Ikem Ekwonu, the player that I love to hate watch because of multiple reasons. Number one, he is a left tackle, arguably the most important person on the offensive line to make sure that the most important person on the entire team stays safe, stays alive in a right-handed quarterback. That is Bryce Young, who's the first overall pick. Number two, he is a first-round pick. You got to perform if you're a first-round pick, if you're going to be a left tackle. As I mentioned, one of the most important positions. Number three, he is a Charlotte guy. He is a Carolina Panthers fan. So he has to do well. Don't you want to do well for your team? I'm trying to perform for this team, and I don't even play for them. So this is what I got to say about Icky. He's gotten better. Now, when he came to the league from North Carolina State 3 years ago, he was known as a road grader. He was a bully. He'll push you over. Kind of like Robert Hunt, kind of the way he is. He was exposed as a pass protector. There's something about the knock knees that freak me out. It gives a sense of unathleticism. And there are times, and unfortunately for offensive linemen, it's kind of like cornerbacks, in real time when you're watching a game, not when you're sitting on your couch watching all 22, the times when you really notice the offensive line is when they make a mistake. And there were times in games where Icky would make drive-killing mistakes. And it was killing me. And it was killing the team. And it's the opposite of what we see out of Taylor Moton. It's the opposite of what we see. Obviously, he's a Pro Bowler, Robert Hunt. Just, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about the right-hand side of the line. You just don't. Obviously, everyone makes mistakes, but it seems like Icky just makes more than he should at that position. If he was a rotational guy, sure, but he is drafted to be the starting left tackle for the Carolina Panthers for the next decade plus. That's the expectation. That is the hope. Jordan Gross, that is the hope, right? We thought we found our guy after the multiple different left tackles who have come in here since Jordan Gross. So I'm going to be extra hard on him. To work, he's going to do the running, the run protecting, great. And I think the way the offense is built, they're going to be bullish on the run with Chuba Hubbard and whoever they draft this year, because unfortunately, Jonathan Brooks not available this year, maybe ever again. But this is a deep, talented running back pool. If you take a look at my episode with Doug from What's Up, Doug, Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech, one of like 32 running backs in this upcoming draft that are draftable. So if they hang their hand on the run game, that goes directly into Ikem Ekwonu's strengths. He just needs to be more well-rounded, more dependable. And with that, I'll give him a B-, not like a 74, 71. These are easy as well. Let's start with Damien Lewis. A-, A, just from no disrespect to Brady Christensen, Cade Mays, and Robert Zavala, who came in relief last year in a tumultuous, Frank Reich year. I give him an A- just from being there and just being a professional, getting it done. And just on both sides, where there's pass, rush, he does a damn job. What a pickup. Like, when we talk about relationships in the NFL, him coming over from Seattle, they're aware of who he is. Sometimes it doesn't pan out. And that pressure to have that connection with the GM, like, hey, we're giving you a lot of money. Do not make us look bad. And it made him look very, very smart. and kind of given the front office the benefit of the doubt heading into this offseason that they're going to make the right decision. So Damien Lewis, again, not a super vocal guy on the field, but I love his random little tweets. And again, as I mentioned, just talking about just like, thank you, God, for another Sunday. Panthers next year. Not even with a question mark. Panthers Super Bowl next year. It's happening. And he's not alone. He's not alone. There are folks out there who would say, we're a weird, sexy pick. You know, if you want to go against the grain, kind of be of a hipster, drink your, local IPA, and then also say, oh, the Carolina Panthers, they're going to make it the Super Bowl next year. That's about par for the course in that sense. Robert Hunt. Maybe one of my favorite Panther additions right now. Like, we all know that picture, of the former captains, the former leaders of this team, the Ryan Khalils, Cam Newton, Greg Olsen, Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, walking down to do the coin flip. They're slowly recreating that. And if you were to do that with this current crop, now mind you, won't have that many players right now, but you would have to put Robert Hunt right there, probably in the spot of Ryan Khalil. And also, like Ryan Khalil, Robert Hunt, very talkative, very charismatic, can control a room, can talk to an audience. He's talked about being in media later on in his career or even during his career. You would have to put him there. Like Bryce in the Cam Newton spot, his aura is building, by the way, like an insane amount during this offseason. You got your Bryce, you got your new Ryan Khalil and Robert Hunt. Don't really have a Luke Kuechly. Don't think we ever will. Greg Olsen, do we have a Greg Olsen? Not yet. Sorry, JT. Sorry, Tommy Tremble. Do we have Thomas Davis? Definitely not. So right now, we got Bryce, we got Robert Hunt, and then you could say Derek Brown. 3 dudes, JC Horn. 4 guys. They could recreate that image. And Robert Hunt, being the new guy on the block, to make that instant impact, that is an A++. Because if you're on a recruiting trip for free agents, or you're trying to tell guys, hey, you want to seek a trade, come to Carolina, I would send Robert Hunt. I don't think I'd send Bryce Young. Bryce Young doesn't, to me, sound like a salesman. Robert Hunt, mind you, could kill you with his bare hands. But I think you can trot him around across the country and pitch 2 players, come to Charlotte. Come be a part of the team. We are building something. Trust me, as a Pro Bowl, I hope he was out there during the Pro Bowl talking to guys. Hey, give me that guy's number. Let me talk to him. Let me talk to Zach Braun. Let me talk to him. Let me pitch him to come to Carolina. I can see him doing that, and I want him to do that. So, for what he does on the field, not the field, Robert Hunt, A+++. All right, so those are my rankings for the offensive line in general, and then each individual player kind of in ascending order there. Let me know if you agree in the comments below. Am I out of my mind? Do they deserve an A+? Was I a little bit too low on Brady Christensen? Should he get a little bit more love? Did I forget somebody? I'm talking about the actual starters, and some of the rotational pieces and some of their futures here. But let me know in the comments below what you think.